What do you know? We are back in full effect. I'm your host, your resident senior developer advocate at TuxCare, Chris Mars. I hope you're doing good. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Cheers to you. I have my grumpy gator before my coffee cup from Shark Valley Everglades. Amazing, amazing trip down in the Everglades in Southern Florida. If you get a chance to do it, definitely check it out. Like I said, I hope everybody's doing good. Thank you for joining us today on the TuxCare stream. I want to call out a few things. If you're not familiar with TuxCare, it's an amazing product. We offer rebootless patching. We offer end-of-life security for open source software. So whether you're thinking Angular JS, you're thinking .NET, PHP, Python, CentOS, we got you covered. And we also offer enterprise support for Elm Linux. So if you have a chance, please give us a follow on Twitter right there, twitter.com/TuxCare_. If you could give me a follow on Twitter, that would be awesome. It's your boy Chris, twitter.com/SaltandBurnham. If you are a Supernatural fan, you will understand that reference. And then just check out tuxcare.com. I'd really, really appreciate it. All right, with that being said, let's kick off today's stream. I want to bring a buddy of mine up. We know many people mutually through the community. We were Twitter friends first, and then we became friends IRL. For all the people out there, IRL stands for in real life. At least I hope it still stands for in real life. And Kyle and I met last year at reInvent in Vegas, which was a blast. I was hosting a guerrilla happy hour with the organization I was at, and Kyle rolled through with a group of people and got some awesome swag, got to hang out. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring Kyle up to the stage. Kyle can introduce himself, tell you a little bit about himself, and we can kick off this stream.
Chris, good to see you.
Hey
everyone. My name's Kyle. Also known as Tech Squid TV on YouTube and Twitter. I'm currently a developer experience engineer at Sentry. We do application monitoring. And I guess we're here today to talk a little bit about, we started doing some local meetups in Philly. So I'm excited to get into it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that is awesome. That's the main focus of this here stream, community driven development. I think that's an awesome title. Somebody I probably give a talk about community driven development, which is cool. But if not, I guess that title is up for grabs to the community thus far. Let's talk about Philly real quick. I have a history with Philly, and you may or may not know this, but me and Philly, we go way back. We go way back, Philly and I. Do you remember a conference called Liberty JS?
Possibly, but not strong.
So Liberty JS was a very small, intimate, community-driven conference. It was a very, very nice conference.
Once a year type of thing?
Yeah, it was once a year. I mean, I probably have stickers somewhere in this office of mine. But me and a couple friends went down there to do talks and workshops. I actually did a workshop. I think it was like a 90-minute workshop. Could have been a 90-minute workshop on accessibility. And that is kind of where I kind of got my footing in Philly and kind of fell in love with Philly. I already love Philly as it is because I'm a huge history buff. And I love, Independence Hall and just the history behind everything. National Treasure is one of my favorite movies.
Great movie.
It is. I love National
Treasure. Really is.
Treasure too. I can't wait till they come out with the third one, if it ever happens. But no, I love Philly, and I kind of have my roots there. And then if you know Dom, that's when Dom and I became buddies. Was in Philly because Dom attended my workshop. And I think right around that time, he was just getting into development and software and web stuff. I think he was maybe junior, mid-level, but he was in the workshop I gave, and he had a blast. And I just had a great time down in Philly. I'm hoping Liberty JS comes back at some point, but maybe your meetup can kind of be the stepping stone to bring Liberty JS back together.
Yeah, I could totally tell you. So when I moved to Philly, I'm originally from New Jersey, not very far away, South Jersey, so right over the other side. But I moved here, I have to do the math, but somewhere between right about 8 years ago. And, it was before COVID and all that. And meetups were plentiful. I remember I went to a Vue.js meetup back in the day, and there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. But really, there wasn't a lot recently. A lot of the old meetups that existed shut down for one of multiple reasons. Either people lost interest or many other things. But it felt like it was time to try again. And there are still some meetups going on out there, like one maybe you are familiar with, but like Philly JS is still around and they're doing their thing. We actually, at our first meetup, and we'll talk more about this, but we actually did a co-sponsorship with Supabase, and I connected Supabase with Philly JS. So Supabase is actually sponsoring Philly JS now, so that's helping them keep their thing going. But yeah, there's a lot of sentiment that like all the tech people in Philly want to get back together. So a lot of people are really happy that we're doing this. I think a lot of it too, which is unfortunate, and something that we're talking about in general with certain people. But there's not a ton of tech companies in Philly, so that makes it a little harder as well. There used to be some tech companies. Now there's still a few small startups at this point, but we're also a city that's pretty heavily invested in like medicine, hospitals, and things like that. So tech isn't necessarily the focus. A lot of the folks who showed up to our meeting work remotely. A lot of folks were looking for work, of course, and of course looking remotely. So that's one of the biggest hurdles of doing one of these things in this kind of city, because the people are interested, but it's hard to find the support from companies who aren't here.
No, that makes total sense. I talk about developer community in all of my conference talks, whether it's a workshop or just a general session. I think I've even done it when I've keynoted events, and I think I've only ever keynoted one time, but I have a whole slide dedicated to developer community, and I have a hashtag, and it's hashtag developer community, and I also put it in the bottom of all my slides. And I took that from my buddy David Pine. David works at Microsoft. He also, I'm going to plug him real quick. He also wrote this book. If you're into Blazor, learning Blazor, build single page apps with WebAssembly and C#. Now, I'm sure a lot of this technology has changed, but yeah, he's a published author through O'Reilly. Works at Microsoft, and he and I actually met at a conference in Detroit, where I'm here in right outside of Michigan, or right outside of the city now. But when I was living downtown proper, there was an event that happened in Detroit. And that was the first time I met Dave Pine, and I met a bunch of amazing people: Jeff Strauss, Scott Addy, David Gerard, Heather Downing, all these amazing, amazing people, and great, great advocates, great minds in the community, and especially in the .NET, Microsoft, C# world. I forgot where I was going with this. Don't you? That's just amazing. That's amazingness of it. Where was I going with
I miss
this?
C#. C# is was actually one of my like second languages, not quite
Yeah.
my first language, and it's been a while now. But I played around with Unity, and C#'s a great language. It's super fun.
I remember I was going with this developer community. So I was in his talk that he was giving, and he had a whole slide dedicated to developer community and a hashtag developer community. And he explained to me the whole reason why he had that and the reasoning behind like tracking the engagement, stuff like that. So I stole it from him. So I've been doing it ever since 2017. I've had developer community in the bottom of all my slides, and a whole slide dedicated to developer community. And I go through and I talk about the why and the importance of developer community and literally community driven development. And it has such a strong tie-in with DevRel, because we're in the business of building relationships. We're in the business of building these communities, whether they're macro or micro. And we almost lost community, in my opinion, going through COVID. And, COVID is still around. It's never going to go away, but it was a horrible time. 2019, 2020, 2021, even 2022. A lot of meetups went down the tubes, and I feel like community started to fall apart. I don't know about you, but speaking for a virtual event without seeing my audience is not as fun. I have to see my audience. I have to see like if my jokes are landing, or if being vulnerable is making people understand that there's a human up here speaking, not just a robot. And that's what I need. I need that energy. I need that fuel. I'm a huge extrovert. And I talk about how, you can learn, and you can go to general sessions and workshops and that stuff all day long, and you can learn and learn and learn and learn. But that's not where the community is built. The community is built in the hallway track. And I've said this over and over and over, and I apologize to any listeners out there in the audience that have heard me say this spiel, but it needs to keep being repeated. That community is built in the hallway track, and community is built at breakfast and at lunch and dinner and happy hour, and just cool little things that you're doing, around town, little get-togethers. Specifically at Liberty JS, me and my buddy Taylor, we if you're a supernatural fan and a paranormal fan like I am, you can see a lot of paranormal books in my library back here. I am a big fan of Eastern State Penitentiary, and if you know the ghost stories behind Eastern State Penitentiary, we were in Philly for Liberty JS in October when they were doing like a ghost tour or haunted house inside Eastern State. So we got a group of people together and we went through and did that and learned history about Eastern State. And like, it was awesome. But we built just a little micro community there within a macro community. And that stuff is crucial. That's extremely important. And with COVID and all these other things, I personally have started meetups in Detroit. I've co-founded meetups. I've helped to build out conferences, and then a lot of that stuff just shriveled away. And it's been hard for meetups to come back. There's not as many meetups in Michigan and the Detroit area as there used to be. Hell, I run Detroit JS, and I even have trouble putting a code and coffee together because it's hard to find venues that don't want to charge you money. Sometimes it's hard to find parking. Not everybody has the money to pay for parking to get downtown. So, but when you have like a Philly JS, you want to keep it in Philly, right? Just like with Detroit JS, you want to keep it in Detroit. I don't want to do a Detroit JS code and coffee out here in Harrison Township because it's not Detroit proper. So I fully understand where you're coming from with that, and it's extremely hard. So what was the motivation to start this? Because I know I talked to you prior. You had it planned. You had this idea. You kind of consulted me on things. What was the motivation for your meetup?
Is ADHD an answer, or
It can be,
one?
yes. And,
Okay,
and,
yeah.
and
So,
ADHD is, yeah, no, I mean, and that's legit. And that's, mental health matters. And, ADHD is something that we all deal with, whether that's undiagnosed or diagnosed. So yeah, definitely, because I know I have undiagnosed ADHD. And yes, that can be an answer.
yeah, I just unfold it a little bit, but that is mostly true. The answer. But yeah, when I joined Sentry on the developer experience team, one of the first things I did was I just started meeting with a whole bunch of people in the company, getting to know folks, talking to different people, and it came up at least twice where different people in the company talked about wanting to do local meetups. Once on my team, actually, Lazar is in the comments. He has run multiple meetups and was actually talking about setting up a structured format for doing meetups. We also have people like on our events team who were talking about it, and in general, it's something that people like. So there was support for it, or it seemed like if I was to come forward with a plan that it would be well received. So I started to think about it, just like the ideas in my head now. Two people, as I've joined, have mentioned something about meetups, and it put in my mind, like, I've wanted to go back to meetups since, like, I did that Vue.js meetup I was talking about. I attended the Vue.js meetup, but I've looked around and I haven't seen much, especially on meetup.com, which is decidedly, at least in my local area, much less tech focused these days, or at least it made it appear as though there weren't many tech meetups in Philly because I was looking mostly on meetup.com. There we go. Through Sentry, they actually told me about Luma, which I had not heard about prior. It turns out we actually sponsor Luma. But if you go on Luma, lu.ma, at least in my local area, there are way more tech-focused meetups on Luma. So it kind of seems like what happened was at some point, all of the tech meetups left meetup.com and went to Luma because I guess meetup.com charges money, I suppose. I don't know all the specifics here, but it sounds like Meetup charges money and Luma maybe doesn't, at least not for small events. So I found a little bit more on there, which was great. It let me know that tech meetups do still exist, like Philly JS. There are a few other ones, but they were smaller and they weren't usually on a consistent basis. It was like, we'll meet up some point in the future kind of thing. Like, here's our meetup group. We last met up like 2 or 3 months ago. We will meet up again some point in the future, but it's not, yet determined. And it's like, okay, so is there something to do here? I'm interested. I kind of want to test this out. So I basically made a deal with my manager. Together, I suggested this. I said, let me experiment with $1,000. And if it's a total bust, then we'll cut it off right there. Otherwise, we'll just kind of use this bank of $1,000 to see how it goes. So we ran short version. We can dive into this deeper, but short version is we planned it up. We can go deeper into that. There's so much in that. Did the meetup. We got a co-sponsorship with Supabase, which basically cut the cost of the meetup in half, which meant that for that $1,000 that we were talking about, I basically had about $600 left. So it's like, good, I could fund a whole second meetup with that $1,000 bet that we came up with. But in the end, everything actually came out pretty great. We're going to do our second one. So we'll see how if that continues to grow and continues to be successful. But for our first one, I think we did a pretty good job. I would say that was success. I think we won that bet for now. But in my mind, we're going to keep playing with that $1,000, and that means I still need a sponsor for my second meetup to help lower the cost, and we still need to find speakers and things like that. There's a whole bunch more that goes into it.
Well, so how many speakers did you have? Because I did see that Amanda came in.
Yeah, Amanda came in.
Amanda's awesome.
Yeah, so I would have loved for. I wish if you're going to do a meetup, you should go as long as you can. Like, people are happy to stick around. I mean, not everyone's going to stay the whole time, obviously. But 2 hours was almost not enough. It kind of isn't enough, but it's what I can do at the location that I'm at. We could talk about locations too, but 3 hours I think would have been great. But so we had 3 speakers, and it turned out to be just a little too much in the 2 hours that we had, because you want to give people time to mingle. You want to give people time to talk and discuss and ask questions and things like that. And we were kind of like, okay, do one talk, get some questions in, next talk, get some questions in, next talk, everyone out. We wanted to do something. We wanted to have a show and tell where everyone could kind of like talk about their thing, but we didn't have time for that. So we did 3 speakers. This next time we're going to do 2, which is also going to be interesting and challenging too, because with Sentry being the owner of this meetup, ideally we want to try and present something Sentry related at these meetups. It doesn't have to be like, we don't have to do a Sentry talk every time. But of course, especially since it's new and I'm trying to, provide value for the company and show, and they're fully on board, by the way. I don't think they would care either way, but I still feel a duty to try and present Sentry at these things. So with the 2 speakers that we're going to do next time, we're not going to have a Sentry talk. There just won't be time, but we will have a short thing during the show and tell portion. Sentry recently had a hack week. This is a totally separate subject, but I built a beeper, and we can squeeze this into show and tell, and then boom, I can say we did a Sentry thing at the Sentry meetup, and we still had our 2 talks, which I think people will be very excited about.
That's awesome. So like, I kept seeing the promotion for that, like a beeper, like a beeper we had like back in the day beeper, where like you call somebody by the beep, you beep somebody and you look at I got to call them back type of beeper. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yep.
Can you show a little demo right now on screen?
I can show a little bit, but I took down the notification service because I was paying for it, but that's okay. I can still show a little bit of it.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of sweet to check that out for anybody that didn't get a chance to read the article or catch anything about the hack week for Sentry.
I'll try to put a link in the chat, but yeah, Sentry, this is going to be, I wish we should open this up to everyone, but this is an internal hack week that we do. So think of like a Hacktoberfest, but it's just inside Sentry.
Yeah.
So here we go. There's something called, and you'll never be able to see it. I've tried this before. It's too bright for the webcam to pick up. But there's something called an ESP32 in here, which is, if anyone's ever heard of like Arduino or anything, it's basically that guy right there talks to Wi-Fi. And AI coded the majority of this. So like you can go through the... Uh-oh. I think it broke.
Uh-oh.
No, it's fine. We're good. You can go through the menu. I don't know. It's a little sticky right now. The buttons aren't really working. Oh, a pin just fell out. Oh no, that's definitely what happened. Yeah, it's not meant to be a long-lived thing. This is a prototype. So yeah, right now the buttons aren't working super well with me, and I think it's because this pin just fell out. So I can't give you the best demo. That is unfortunate. Hold on, wait. I'm going to reset it real quick. I'm going to see if I can't get it to play a beep for you, because that is the one thing that it should be able to do, assuming it survives long enough. Oh, I can already see the whole board moving. That's not fun. Nope, can't do it. I lied. Sorry, I tried. It lasted long enough to make the video, and then it lasted a little bit longer. Oh man, I do have to fix that for my show and tell though. That's unfortunate. If you want to see the video, I'll put the video in the chat.
Definitely. Yeah, I just found the link. I just put it up. Espressif or espressif.com.
Espressif is yeah, so that's the name of like the thing that's inside there, or at least, well, there's layers to this. That's like the name of the processor, if you want to think about it. Like if you were building a computer, that's the processor. The board it's in is actually called an Adafruit Feather. That's a whole thing. I'm going to get you this link. And if people want to read in deeper, they totally can. There's a video in there too. Oh, I can't. I'm going to send you the link on Twitter, and then you can share it. And if people want to watch the video, there's a video in there too. But yeah, that was super fun. We had a week to build anything we wanted at Sentry. A whole bunch of people built a lot of really, really, really cool stuff. A lot of really talented people at Sentry. And there was a prize if you won. I did not win, unfortunately, but the people who won got a gold keycap. I'm not sure if it was really gold, but it looked really cool. I would have loved to get one. And it's my job now to try and find one and steal it at some point.
Nice. So this is the article, right? It's your blog.
Yes. Yeah. TechSquid TV blog. I made an ESP32 on-call beeper. And you can actually listen to the ringtones in that blog. I embedded a little musical player because obviously not everyone's going to be able to demo the actual beeper. So if you want to hear some of the ringtones, you can actually go to the blog and hear the ringtones on there. But I'll be trying to give a demo of this at my next meetup. Now knowing that it has broken since the last time I touched it, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. That is awesome. Cool. No, I think that's a good idea to have a show and tell in the middle of things. If you need a speaker to come out,
I always need speakers. So that's like the hardest thing about running a meetup. And you want to talk about planning meetups?
Let's talk about planning meetups.
Let's talk about planning meetups. So that was a challenging, especially, doing your first one. I should mention too, like I've been here for 8 years, but I'm not like part of many communities here, which we were just talking about. There aren't necessarily that many communities around here. But I am a member of a local hackerspace, so that's fun. If for folks who don't know, I would highly recommend finding one if there is one near you. But it's a place where people basically pay a membership fee, and then they join a club where there are access to power tools. So the place that I go to, it's called Hive 76 in Philadelphia. They have a whole bunch of 3D printers. They have laser cutters, and it's a nonprofit, so it's really, really cheap. There's also like another place that's very, very expensive because it's a private company thing. Of course, they have much nicer, cooler stuff, but it's also, I don't know, rich people. That's for rich people is what that one is. But this place is really, really cool. And I was able to like advertise a little bit there, but there's not a lot of software folks in there, so it didn't really help. There is a local Philadelphia Discord. I was able to post in there once, but their moderators were also not super chill about sharing local meetups, which I thought I don't think they fully understood. Meetup has a different word, a different meaning to different people. Like some people think when you say meetup, it's like we should all get together and get drinks. And tech people, when you say meetup, it's like there's a company who's going to be doing a thing and they're going to feed us. And it means different things to different people. So you should be very clear about that when you're trying to advertise with people. But I was able to post around to different Slacks, different Discords and things like that, and get just enough interest to get one person who would agree to do a talk. Now, the other person was Amanda from Twitter, and she came all the way from Baltimore, which is not horrendously far, but that's very far for a meetup. So like very, very big thanks to her for making I think it was like 3-hour drive or something like that, to come do that and be my second speaker. And then I was the third speaker. Like I said, we're going to knock it down to 2. So that actually helps quite a bit. So now I only need to find 2 people to speak. Now it's a little bit easier because I had people already at my last meetup. So I have one speaker who attended last time is going to be our speaker next time. And actually my other speaker, and they loosely confirmed, we're going to get this in stone. Cursor, everyone knows Cursor, right? The code editor. Recently did a meetup here in Philly as well, and I went and attended that just to see how it went. And Lewis, who ran that meetup, is also going to be a speaker at our next meetup. So Lewis and a previous attendee will be our meetup, and then hopefully we'll grow the snowball from there. But the first one was really, really tough. We started the planning. I mean, I started planning this almost the minute I got hired at Sentry, like 4 months ago now. And then we put up the Luma page almost a full 2 months before the first meetup, which had its pros and cons, because I think a lot of people that signed up like 2 months ago lost interest, which made our numbers pretty inaccurate. But it helped get the word out there a little bit. And Luma was the biggest source of signups, by the way. Like, as much as I tried posting on Discord and Slack and all that, Luma itself, which again, for folks who maybe came in later, it's like Meetup. Them advertising it, just promoting it as they usually do, helped a lot. And of course, as the meetup got closer and closer to its final date, it got higher and higher in the listing on Luma, and then more and more people showed up. We actually got a few affiliate referrals too. So not affiliate, but just referrals. So I would definitely encourage in Luma, and probably whatever management system you're using, we can email anyone who is going to be attending. And we use that to let people know, like, hey, this is where you should park or how you should get there. But I also put in there, like, hey, go tell your friends to sign up. Go tell your people at your school and whatever. And we had a few students from Drexel show up. So we're gonna we're gonna see if it works. We've only done one so far, but now that we've branched out into these kind of communities, we have a few students from Drexel. We have a few people from this local tech company. Will they bring more people next time? So now we're going to start. I immediately put out a invite to everyone who attended last time. Not just attended, but the people who said they were going to attend, which was 83 people. In the end, I think maybe 30 showed up. So do some math if you're wondering how many people are going to show up to your meetup, which is helpful when you're ordering food and such. But of the 83 people that I re-invited to the second one, so far we have 20 people who have already confirmed, like, pretty quickly that they want to be at the next one. Again, I'm going to kind of assume close to 50% attendance on that. It should technically be a little higher this time, because these are not, random people. These are people who either expressed interest in coming last time or did come last time. So maybe it'll be, instead of 40% attendance, maybe it'll be 60%. We'll have to kind of see.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, I don't know if it's a Michigan thing or just an overall thing. Like 20%, like if you're getting 20%, that's. But I mean, if you're up there, like if 80 some people RSVP'd and 30 some showed up, like that's amazing numbers.
It's not
like
bad.
That's really, really good. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if 80 people signed up and 10 people only showed up. You know what I mean? Which I've been in situations like that. I've given conference talks where I've talked to 5 people in a room or like 3 people in a room.
Oh, it's rough.
It's like,
I was so worried about that.
It's rough, but I mean, it happens, and it's just the nature of the game, and it's just how it is, and you gotta take it with a grain of salt. I did want to talk about a couple things that you said. So Luma, I've only ever used Luma, not for personal, not for any type of meetups that I've ran. How does that platform differ from platforms of the past? Is it robust? Is it more intuitive? Is it free? Do you have like a Luma page that you can share, or we can share on stream?
Absolutely. In fact, yeah, if you want to put it up on the screen, that's probably the best way to do it. Let me
put it in the comments, the chat.
It won't let me because I have to sign with YouTube, and I'm on my work computer, so I'm not signed into my YouTube. So I'm going to send it to you on Twitter. Apologies for that. But yeah, so I don't really have that much experience with Meetup as a organizer, so I apologize for that. Just as I've used Meetup in the past to attend like that Vue.js meetup. Mm-hmm. My understanding is, and I don't really know, but Meetup.com has started charging at a lower tier, I believe. So now, if you have a meetup of a certain size, it costs money, and I guess it's a small enough thing that it bothers most people. Like if you have more than a certain amount of attendees, I suppose it starts charging you. I'm not sure the specifics. Luma is free, but you can pay to promote your meetup, which because we are sponsors, we just get, which is great. So a lot of tech folks have started using Luma, and I don't know if that's just because it's free or if just tech people in general have gravitated towards Luma for one reason or another. And yeah, it's pretty simple. You just, there's some features I like. There's some things I wish that it did. It's not lacking anything compared to the other platforms, as far as I know. I just kind of wish it did more sometimes. Here's what it does. Here's what it does great, and what I kind of wish it did. It lets you create a page really easily. You just put in your description. It supports Markdown, which is really, really great. Your dates and things like that. And then people can join the event or your calendar. So like, yeah, you can see here, it says presented by Sentry, and then you can subscribe to Sentry's calendar, or you can just register for this event. So like you can decide, is this I am interested in this event kind of thing, or do I want to know about all upcoming events from Sentry? So that'll be nice because we're going to be doing more of these in the future. So I'm going to be telling people, hey, you should subscribe to the Sentry calendar. That way I don't have to tell you about each individual event that comes up, right? So that's how they can like join the community, by subscribing to the calendar. Now I can also send emails to everyone who registers. So they call them blasts. So I can say, a week before, hey, I'll see you next week. I can say a day before, we'll see you tomorrow, these kinds of things. It also sends out an automatic survey at the end that people can fill out to say like, hey, how was your meetup? And it's nice to get that kind of information back. I get a whole bunch of analytics. I can see where people signed up from. Like, was it external websites that sent them to my meetup? It does like what do you call the UTM? It does UTM
link,
tracking.
yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. So you can throw all that in there. The one thing I kind of wish it had. Well, let me say this first. You can also email the host, and the host can email you through the app. It is just email. There's nothing fancy going on, but you can, do it through the app.
Yeah.
We're now talking about. Now we've done one, and we're going to be doing more in the future. So it's time to start thinking about like how to really engage the community and spread information and collaborate. So I've officially just today got asked the question, do we have a Discord? And I was like, no, but that wasn't on purpose. I did not have one yet because it was too early. We had to see what was going on. And I kind of wish that Luma would just let me. I don't really want to deal with the Discord. I just need a place where people can, where I could post and people could comment on that post, kind of like a Patreon kind of, deal. So I could say like, hey, we're going to be meeting next week. Who wants to be a speaker? That would be an ideal way to do that. But they don't really have that level of community management. It's really event management, which is totally fine. That's what they do. They're not this tool. So we will be adding a Discord channel probably today. And then in my next blast to everyone who attends, I'll be letting them know, hey, now we have a Discord channel and we can talk in more real time.
That's awesome. No, this is like a really cool tool. Like like I said, I've used it before, but when I say use it, I mean looked at it. Like never actually set something up, because I pay for Meetup for Detroit JS. And if this is free, and
I saw a pricing at the bottom. Let's take a quick look at that.
If I'm getting a little bit more out of it than what Meetup is providing me at a free level, I might just switch over and just let everybody know, hey, Detroit JS is switching over to Luma.
Yeah, I was worried. I mean, who knows? I didn't do the test, so we don't know. But I was worried that being on Luma might limit my reach, because I was curious, like, are people not going to find me because I'm not on Meetup? In fact, we talked about setting up a Meetup as well that just linked to the Luma. But we ended up not doing that, and I think it worked out fine. So I am not upset that we didn't go on Meetup. I don't know how much it would have helped.
Right. I think I pay for like the basic plan on Meetup, I think, and I'm paying like $40 or $45 a month.
It's actually pretty impressive when you think about this. The fact that they include the email blasts, like it's actually pretty expensive to do email with any other service, and Luma just kind of gives you that for free. So
yeah, that's awesome. I was wondering too if you could do like check-in, like guest check-in.
Yes,
and you can do that. That's awesome.
However, I do wish so it's perfect if you are thinking about. So here, I think Luma probably makes the most of its money. It probably says that, yeah, there it is, 5% platform fee for paid events. So if you were to do a ticketed event, that's where Luma makes their money. And then when you scan people in, you could have someone at the door like scan people in. Because we're free, I don't really want to stand at the door,
Yeah.
nor do I have like someone available to do that. So what I
Right.
would rather have is the ability for people to scan themselves in, knowing that not everyone's going to do it. But I wish that I could just put up a QR code and say, if everyone could scan in, that would help me out a lot.
Yeah.
But Luma doesn't have it both ways.
Right. No, that's interesting. I might have to switch.
It's pretty good, I would say. And I mean, I'm sure it says it somewhere on here, but I'm pretty sure we sponsor this. Like Sentry is written all over this website because we sponsor them.
Let's check it out. Let's go to luma.com.
I think if you go back to, well, our event page is probably too easy, but if you want to look at maybe someone else's event, we should be on there too, I would imagine.
Let's see if we can find another event. Explore events.
Yeah, see what you got going on by you. AI is what we're currently listed under. I actually need to change that, but we'll worry about that later. Our first event was AI focused.
Luma wants to know my location. Allow this time. No events.
No events. Bummer. Okay, so that's actually good to know because maybe Luma is not popular in your area, right?
It might not be. I mean, Eventbrite, Meetup, I think are the two main ones. So
yeah, it was interesting to see. I mean, Luma has there were other meetups here in Philly on Luma. So once I saw those, I was on board. I said let's do it, and it worked out. But I would, it's a good thing you checked, and I would say if for anyone else who's thinking about it, maybe just double check to see.
Yeah,
is it valid in your area?
I've used Eventbrite before, and you covered on this a little bit before we hop off stream. You covered reaching out to various communities about your meetup and kind of generating buzz, letting people know, hey, this is my meetup. You know, I would love for people to come out, blah blah blah. Because if you're not too involved in said community in that area, it can be rather difficult. So I kind of want to lead into this. When I was working at a company a few years back, I was flying down to hang out with my team lead. We already kind of had an on-site when I hired, but I wanted to do another one. And I was flying down to New Orleans. And I was also playing I also had a paintball tournament in New Orleans at that time. Yeah. So one of the guys that was going to be on my team, or the kid, he was 12 years old, amazing paintball player. His home field was LAX, which is a paintball field in Slidell, Louisiana. So I flew down to New Orleans. I got a place to stay, hung out with my team lead. We did dinners and we did a co-working space and worked together. I was running Twitch streams while we were down there. And I went and practiced for paintball. But a couple weeks prior to flying out, me and my team lead were like, hey, let's run a meetup for fun. Let's just see how it goes. We'll get some money. I said, what did I say? Budget to run a meetup, and just let's see what happens. And it's not going to be sponsored by the company whatsoever. It's going to be an opportunity for the community to come together and just hang out. And there's not going to be any talks about anything. Just come, have some drinks, have some food, meet the people around you. Because New Orleans, I mean, I don't live in New Orleans, but Katrina and everything that's happened down there, there's a lot of strong community building. It doesn't matter what community you're talking about, just community in general. They're very, very strong down there, and I love it. I love the hustle, and I love the way everybody comes together to make things better. So we did this in like 2 weeks. We said, okay, we're going to find a venue. So we found like a barcade, and we put a post up on Eventbrite, and I designed some graphics for it. My team lead went to the New Orleans Dev Reddit or subreddit and was talking about it there. I have friends down in NOLA who put the word out to the community. I got into the NOLA Devs workspace on Slack, talked to a bunch of people there. Some people knew me from just the community in general, posted it there, and just blasted all over Twitter, had friends blast it. And I had to, every few days, I had to up the registration count.
Yeah.
Because we'd hit the RSVP. And I'm like, oh, geez, like, let me up this some more. So I think we had maybe between $800 or $1,000 to spend. And I went out the night before I flew, or maybe a couple days before I flew out, and I bought wristbands. Like how, for venues. So like you just go to the bartender, show them the wristband. They know you're with the meetup, right? So people aren't just coming in, oh, I'm with that group over there.
Yeah.
And it was extremely successful. We had friends come in from Baton Rouge, which is not close by. We had a couple of friends of ours came in from Atlanta because they were scouting New Orleans for a venue for an event that they were going to run. So they came and they brought people with them. And I overheard people saying that they met somebody at the meetup that literally lived around the block from them, and they had no idea that
Oh,
they were web and
hilarious.
software developers, right? They never knew, and they became friends, and we did it. I think we had 45 RSVPs. 44 people out of 45 showed
Oh
up.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
for 2 weeks. It took us 2 weeks to do it.
Was that paid?
Got the no,
Yeah,
no,
that's crazy. That's so good.
no. We just found a barcade. Me and my team lead showed up at the barcade, told them what we were doing. They were all about it. We said we have these wristbands. If anybody comes up with a blue wristband, they're with us. Drinks are on that. Our drinks are on us. Food is on us. So we ordered appetizers and food, and it was like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. We did this, and then after that, we cut it off. And everything else is going to be on your tab, and extremely successful. The whole barcade was just filled with people for the meetup, and that's all
Yeah,
it was.
that's
That's
really
all it
nice.
was.
I,
And
I like the I
I
like
had
that you
people.
chose a place that has food and drink, because then
Yes, that's
yeah,
key. That'll bring people, because people like to eat, people like to drink, whether it's pop or water or drink, adult beverages, whatever you want to
and they
call it.
have options because they can get, if they don't want
Right,
whatever is in
right,
your
exactly, exactly. And there was games like pinball and arcade games and stuff like that for people to play, and just to hang out and have a good time. And it was after the fact where I left the company. I was still getting hit up in the Know the Dev Slack. Hey, are you coming back to New Orleans to do another one? Friends of mine who are down in New Orleans, big shout out to Gant Laborde. He's like, hey, Chris, people are asking if you're going to do this again. Are you going to do it again? And I'm like, maybe one day I'll do it and run a impromptu guerrilla meetup, because we're good at running those guerrilla meetups out down in New Orleans. But it was great. It was awesome to see people enjoying themselves and getting people together and helping to just kind of put a spark in that community from Michigan all the way down to New Orleans, being there with a group of people. And like I said, the company I was working for gave us the money to do it, but we didn't promote the company. We didn't do talks. It wasn't, speeches and sales anything like that. It was just me and my team lead in the community BSing about web and software and other cool stuff that people are into. So it's extremely important to get the word out there, like you did, like we did, and it made it successful, like it did for you.
And hopefully it grows from there. So it starts out maybe a little difficult, and hopefully it gets easier.
It is. It's like I always say, DevRel community and DevRel was not built in a day. It takes time. It just takes time, because you got to get the word out there. You got to get people interested. You got to do the thing. You got to put the time and effort in. And I'm not always the one to have the time and effort to put in to running my own meetup, but it's like being a mechanic, right? You never want to fix your own car, but you fix everybody else's, right? I'll go speak at meetups and conferences all day long, but putting my own together and being consistent with it is sometimes the hard part. So
I'll tell you, that's the one thing I'm worried about is we're doing this monthly, at least for now, and we just booked up. So we did 1 month, and I just contracted out the next 3 months. So that's helpful, because at least now I can look ahead for sponsors 2 and 3 months from now, and look for speakers 2 and 3 months from now. But at the same time, just doing, at least the way I'm doing it right now, which is one at a time, you have to do all this work to get everything ready in 4 weeks. And that's on top of your regular job too. So I'm going to say running a meetup is crazy, crazy hard. And it's a lot of work. And I think, hopefully when you grow it a little bit, you can distribute some of that work to the community, and you can have community members who are involved and will help you do different tasks and things. We actually already have something we have a survey that we send out that basically says would you be willing to help check people in on Luma? Would you be willing to help do this? And maybe this time we'll take advantage of that. But doing something consistently, especially monthly, maybe it's not terribly often for an attendee, but for someone who's trying to set it up, that's like a full-time situation. So start slow, build up, and try to get help where you can.
On that note too, I want to say that venues are hard. Back in the day, companies would let you use their space for free. Nowadays, that's not the case always. Unless you're doing like a Code and Coffee, right? And you just show up. But also, having RSVPs, like capping RSVPs, is also tricky because I do that with my Code and Coffees, but it comes back to bite me because I'll cap it at like 10 people RSVP, and I'm the only one sitting there for 3 hours by myself. Right. And that sucks, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind if you're running a meetup or you're going to start running a meetup. Think about RSVPs. Think about the space that you're going to be occupying. Think about, you're going to have fire codes and building codes and all this other stuff. And if you're running a Code and Coffee, maybe cap it at a certain amount, but let people know in your announcement that, hey, listen, show up if you want and stay as long as you want. We're going to run this for just a couple hours, but it's a public place. You're not going to get kicked out for being there. So just one of those things to keep in mind.
And always assume, 40 to 50% attendance max for something that's free.
Right. Exactly.
So if your goal is to have 10 people, don't set your RSVP at 10.
Right. Yeah. Go a little bit higher than that. But well, Kyle, I appreciate you giving me the time, giving the community the time,
Thank you.
Sharing some of your knowledge from running your very first successful meetup, which is awesome. It sounds like it was an amazing time. I'm assuming, this is good inspiration for other people wanting to do this in their area. Hell, it's inspiration for me to want to run another meetup too for something. Who knows? Maybe we'll do TuxCare meetups in Detroit somewhere down the road. Is there anything that you want to leave with our audience? Plug anything else? Words of wisdom? Anything?
Just appreciate everyone coming in. If you are in the Philly area, we showed the whole page earlier, so feel free to come join us. And I will just share, it didn't work here, so you're going to have to watch it in the YouTube video or the blog post, but do check out the Sentry beeper. We posted that in the chat earlier too, or you can just search me, TechSquid TV, and I'm sure it'll come up.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm going to plug a couple things here. Make sure that you give Kyle a follow on Twitter at TechSquid TV. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Sultan Burnham. If you're not following TuxCare on Twitter, follow TuxCare on Twitter. Check us out, tuxcare.com. Tomorrow I'm running a Twitter Spaces on my personal account. It's going to be It's the Sultan Burnham Twitter account. We're going to be talking about open source and the value of open source and all the cool things about open source software tomorrow. So we're going to flip the script a little bit and move into more software webby talk development stuff next tomorrow. And that's going to kick off at, I think it's 11 a.m. Eastern, right? Let me check my schedule here. Yeah, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same awesome Sultan Burnham Twitter profile, Twitter account. And I think, with that, I think we can end it. What do you say, Kyle?
Sounds great to me. Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate everybody. Catch us tomorrow, Twitter Spaces. Stream next week if everything goes well. And we'll catch you on the flip.